AIDS has struck only a reported 1,500 people, but it has killed almost 600 of them.
85, 86, we started seeing cases. I saw my first case.
The scientists say this probably means they are dealing with some new, deadly, sexually transmitted disease.
In those days, it was very, very hard work. It was palliative care.
This is the most complex illness that has ever faced this nation in epidemic proportions.
Doctors everywhere scrambling, people everywhere panicking, dealing with the human immunodeficiency virus.
This is AIDS.
There certainly was panic. There was misinformation, lots of misinformation.
But there is now conflicting scientific evidence that AIDS can be transmitted through blood transfusions or by casual contact among families of AIDS victims.
People originally thought it was a disease confined to one sexual orientation.
Scientists at the National Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta today released the results of a study which shows that the lifestyle of some male homosexuals has triggered an epidemic of a rare form of cancer.
People died, some individuals died very rapidly. It was very hard, very hard.
Back then, there were no medications. Everyone was dying.
There were so many people at that time dying from AIDS.
These were the faces of HIV, the faces of people dying of AIDS.
Death didn't scare me. It was living with this for a long time. That's more frightening than death.
What color do you want, Seth?
I'm gonna take some of this.
I was sexually assaulted in Vancouver.
Marlo Cottrell lived dangerously, days and nights on the streets in Vancouver, years addicted to drugs, even after sexual assault left her with HIV.
Even though I felt that in my circumstances I was going to die, I wasn't going to, I was still gonna live.
Marlo found her light, her family, and her voice.
I may not be wearing a short skirt or a little bit dirty, unshowered, homeless, but my heart is still the same. My voice is still the same, but I've learned to use it now.
I was diagnosed with HIV 25 years ago.
Deborah's partner cheated on her, leaving her to raise 2 young kids and fight HIV.
My specialist at the time told me to get my affairs in order, to arrange for guardians for my children, that I probably had about 6 months to a year to live, if that.
Did you know that's how I met your grandma, was doing art?
Art club.
Yeah,
we also went from art club to help somebody move.
That's right.
Remember?
Yeah. I'm fortunate. I don't know why I'm alive. Honestly, all of the people I knew back then are dead except one. There's only one person I've known from the beginning, from when I first stepped in the doors of the AIDS network, who's still alive, living with HIV.
It's a different type of storytelling, which I think would be really good.
They're using their stories to educate people about HIV, safe sex, and help remove the stigma around the disease.
Yeah, because nobody deserves this disease. No one deserves to be living with this disease. No one deserves to be shunned because of the stigma. You often look and you go, oh, how did I live through that? How come I'm alive? I could quite easily have been them, and I'm just so grateful.
That's where this project comes in, Faces of HIV.
You know, to help celebrate the 30 years of HIV Edmonton, but then also meet people who have really important stories to tell, who may not have a platform like Faces of Edmonton to help tell them.
Stories of people now living with HIV.
You just don't hear that much about it anymore, and I didn't realize exactly where things were at with HIV and AIDS.
We wanted to do a project that we could get out in the community, we could put out on social media, start a conversation, because stigma is still a huge issue, and I would say that that is one of our major issues that is kind of preventing us from seeing decreased rates of HIV infections.
If Faces of HIV increases individuals' awareness, changes their sexual behavior, and prevents 1, 2, 12 cases of HIV transmission, it's done a wonderful job.
There is a world now where HIV can be controlled with medication, but for people living with the disease or fighting against it, there is one hope for the future.
My hope for the next decade would be that we find a vaccine and a cure. That is a hope.
The cure, that's the thing for me right now. I want to see a cure, and I do believe there's going to be a cure before I die.
I look forward to the day that there is a cure, and I see that coming.
Des Malenko, CTV News.
That's my hope, and I hope to live long enough to see it.
Edmonton.